Welcome, everybody, to your Seven Squared podcast. And what we're talking about today is your tip for leadership. And I got my main man with me, Mr. Corey Sigue. Corey, how's it going?
Oh man, it's all good. Just wrapped up a real relaxing Thanksgiving, man. I didn't do too much, but yeah, it's all good over here. How about yourself?
Oh, same. I like a quiet Thanksgiving or even any holiday, just as long as it's quiet, as long as you get together with a couple of people, then you move them right on out. Hey, we're good to go
Oh yeah,
back to
we good
normal.
to go.
So, Corey, I wanted to bring you in and just talk about leadership. You're our team development, team engagements guru specialist. And, as you grow a company, as you begin to scale, you can't do that alone. You have to have a team. But it seems like there's a lot of leaders out there that have leadership issues. So, give me your perspective that one thing that a leader needs in order to, one, lead successfully and for to get that buy-in from the team.
Yeah, so it's interesting. So you posed that question to me earlier. I started thinking, and I'm like, man, what could this really be, right? And there's so many things that get brought into it, but the biggest thing for me was integrity. Um, And when I really started to think about it, I was like, yeah, you can throw out integrity. All these leaders supposed to have integrity. He's supposed to do the right thing. But there's so much more to it. And I'm curious to see what you say about it. And I'll kind of just delve on my side. Like integrity for me is, so we all take this position. We take this role, I guess you can say. We open a business. We have people that literally, they have their lives in our hands at this point for development, money, whatever it may be. And some way through the ranks, some way through whatever we begin to do, we start to tell ourselves like it's the business, which is true. But you also made a commitment to these people to do what you said you were going to do for them. And that's how I came to integrity, because it's so much into it. It's understanding, it's making a promise to somebody and keeping it. It's telling someone like, hey, look, if you join my company, I will do XYZ, and you stand on that, right? Like this is the vision of the company, and this is where we're going, and it's being done, right? An old coach of mine used to say all the time, he said, integrity is doing the same thing that you would do whether the lights are turned off or on.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so that what that basically means is whether somebody's watching or not, you're still operating, you're still doing the correct thing, you're still doing things in a way that are like morally, ethically, in the best interest of others, like, right. And you're not chopping anybody down. So that's really what I came up with. But I'm curious to see what you have to say about it.
So I agree with you. And that's what I was thinking about as you were going into it. When we talk about integrity, that is doing the right thing, whether or not people are looking or notice it. So it's almost like your own moral compass. You got to have that from the within. And in order to lead a team, you have to be solid within, because you can't lead or expect things from individuals if you don't have that within yourself. So when we talk about creating that vision, walking through all the hard times and hardships, being the one that don't get paid, a person without integrity might not pay their team, but they still get a paycheck. And so deciding that as a leader, I'm going to put everything on my shoulder, whatever it looks like, whatever the situation is, my team is going to be straight, is a level of integrity. And then for me, it's about honesty and communication with the team. And so if you lack integrity, you may not share everything with the team. And I understand there's some things you don't want to share. There's some things that are for the leadership and then you disseminate it to the team. But there shouldn't ever be a situation where the team is blindsided. And so many times I think about this, Corey, and you could talk to this. Let me know your thoughts on this. For me, when I go on LinkedIn, I look at different jobs and see employment opportunities. I love to actually see them have a salary range there. Me personally, I think there should be a salary range everywhere. I don't I understand that different people get paid based on experience, credentials, but it lacks integrity to me as a company to not tell a person what they're going to be paid so you can play around with the money on the back end. So you can do with what you want to do with the money.
Right.
And if you pay one prime example, I used to work with a guy in the position, I made X amount of dollars. He went When I left, I actually got him the position. He went to that same position. They paid him $20,000 less. Why? We worked together in this previous job before, same background and credentials, doing the same job. Why pay him less? And what happened to that money, that extra money? And so that is an integrity issue. And you might have some people get on or listen and say, well, that ain't how companies work. You know, we got to do what we got to do. But to me, it's just not fair for a person to go in a situation. They don't understand what the salary is. And then the company switches the salary based on the person in a wide, like just a wide range like that. Even if I had a degree or two up on him, we're doing the exact same job.
Right.
Why should he get paid less than me doing the exact same job? So I think for me, when I think about integrity, like you said, it goes so deep. But I think as a leader, you have to be able to be honest, be upfront with your people, and to lead them in situations and do not blindside them. That's integrity to me, not holding all the information in so you can make the decisions and then tell them what you want them to know. And when something wrong happens, then everybody's like, well, I didn't know. Because how many times, Corey, do you think or has come out that leadership knew about certain things and they never said it? Then when it happened, they still didn't own up, but then it comes out later that they knew about it.
Right.
And I don't know what to say about that. That's just a lack of integrity to me.
No, but watch this. So I just read a story the other day, and it talked about how this manager really looked at this employee. He noticed that he was being severely underpaid, but he was very high performing. And so he said he opened the books up, saw what his raises looked like, looked at what his compensation history had been like, compared to other people, and realized basically he had not been getting what he was supposed to get. But he's the type of person that doesn't speak up. He's just going to do his work. He's going to go home. He's going to give you a good product. And it just is what it is. And so for somebody like that, he said he opened up the books. He went and looked through the compensation history and realized like this guy's getting paid like 30% less than the next person to him. So what ended up happening was he ends up not only getting the guy raises, he ended up getting a more vacation time because of his tenure and all that stuff. And these are all things that a really high performing person, if you're not a outspoken person, if you're not one of those people that are gonna like rah rah, oh, you owe me this, right? They're just gonna fall by the wayside.
Mhm.
And so it was interesting. Somebody messaged me about it because I ended up telling that story. Somebody messaged me and said it would be too much work to do so. And so I said, so then you have a bigger problem. Because if it's too much work, that means you have too many people that are in that wide range. You should have certain outliers if that is the case, right? You should have maybe one or two people, 2 to 3 people, depending on whatever it is, that are just severely being looked at in that manner. But if you're saying that, oh, it's too much work, we got to open up the books and look at everybody, now we have a bigger problem, right? And that's where the integrity comes from. Were you transparent in that salary? Did you put this person because maybe you felt like you can get over on them? Did you put a person at 50,000 when they should really be at 65,000, And that's what I think about integrity. There's so many things that you can delve into it. And I thought that's why the number one goal for me, or the number one trait for a leader was integrity, because that's when you're still doing what you said you would do, right? Like I believe two things. We are entitled to happiness and good leadership, right? And the reason being is you're like we talked about it before, Tyrus. Like we're responsible for our own happiness.
Yeah.
But I know I need to get a job. I know I have to work for someone's company. And there's only a small percentage of people, honestly, that are creating businesses and going forward with it, right? So you owe me at least. You could at least hook me up with some really good leadership and someone that can send me down the path that I need to go. I just think integrity is like the overarching thing to it, but I'm gonna get off my high horse on that. We can talk about that all day.
Yeah. And to wrap this up, because we definitely want to keep it just to give something that you can go out and apply immediately. That being said, you owe a person good leadership. They don't owe you anything but to come in and do the job you asked them to do at the best of their ability. And then you owe them good leadership. It's more than just a paycheck. A lot of people, I remember growing up, and you go get a job and people say, well, I had this hard day. I didn't like this. They have it. You got paid, didn't you? It's more than that. we got to get out of the mindset of a paycheck eliminates you doing everything else that you're supposed to do for me. And so if you're a leader and you're listening, develop your integrity. And integrity can be developed. If you find situations where you feel like I wasn't quite upfront, maybe I didn't handle that situation right, and it doesn't sit well with you, then go and change that and have open and honest conversations. And that builds integrity. And just think about the situations where nobody's watching you. You may or may not be found out. What decision are you going to make in that instance? How are you going to lead your people? And know this for sure, whatever you put out is going to come back to you. So if you put out dishonesty and you lack integrity and you trying to figure out why your team don't quite do the job they're supposed to do and why they getting over or why they cheating hours, it's likely because you put some of that out in the universe as well and you just getting that back. So Corey, you have any last words before we wrap this one up?
Yeah, I still ring true with the mantra of that old coach, man. You know, whether the lights are turned off or on, just continue to do the same thing you would do regardless.
Love it. I love it. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is it. We kept it short for you. Go out and apply this. And thank you for joining us for another episode of the 7 Square Podcast, Leadership Tips with Mr. Corey Sigue. And we'll see you next time.